Welcome to a lesson in the National Ready Mixed Concrete Association's online safety series. The lesson consists of a video that is immediately followed by a short quiz.
The daily pre-trip inspection is not only required by your company, but also by the Federal Motor Carriers Safety Administration's 49 CFR Part 396. Most states also adopt the same rules. Even if you're under pressure to deliver that first load of concrete, make no mistake, you as the driver of the mixer truck are absolutely responsible for the safe inspection and operation of the mixer truck. Take your time and be very thorough in the inspection and documentation of the vehicle inspection. This National Ready Mixed Concrete Association lesson will review how a mixer truck driver should correctly inspect and develop a safe and thorough working knowledge of a rear discharge mixer truck. One note before we begin. Rear discharge mixer trucks are manufactured in numerous configurations depending on year, make, and model. In this lesson, you'll be entering and exiting the cab numerous times to ensure all inspection items are covered. While performing a pre-trip on your truck, you may want to combine some of the inspections to eliminate the excess entering and exiting the cab. Let's now begin.
Rear discharge concrete mixer trucks are highly specialized pieces of equipment. In fact, these trucks are mobile concrete manufacturing and delivery vehicles. As a professional mixer truck driver, the vehicle pre-trip inspection is the time to identify, document, and seek assistance in correcting any vehicle defects. This is the time for defect discovery, right now, so you can prevent accidents and injuries on the highway, in traffic, and on the job site due to vehicle defects. The best way to perform a pre-trip inspection is to follow the same step-by-step procedure every time on your mixer truck. In the short run, it becomes a smooth series of routine, methodical actions that become automatic over time so that you don't miss checking a required component. Its familiarity helps you not make mistakes while also developing the ability to perform the task even quicker. With practice, you should be able to perform a rear discharge mixer pre-trip inspection in 10 minutes or less. To help you do so, this lesson will describe NRMCA's 7-step inspection procedure based on the Commercial Driver's License Manual, with additional instructions for rear discharge concrete mixer trucks. The 7 steps are: Step 1, Vehicle Overview. Step 2, check the engine compartment. Step 3, start the engine and inspect inside the cab. Step 4, turn off the engine and check the lights. Step 5, walk around inspection. Step 6, check signal lights. Step 7, start engine and check the brake system. The vehicle pre-trip inspection is extremely critical for your safety, the safety of the motoring public, and the safety of the customers to whom you deliver ready-mix concrete. It's time to be thorough, complete, and professional while conducting this inspection.
Is it necessary to check all these fluids each day?
It's very important to check each and every fluid every day because we're dealing with a perishable product. It's better that we find any problems now than to have any issues with breakdowns or any other problems while you're en route or on the job site.
The vehicle overview demands that you look for signs of major defects and vehicle obstructions. Start by looking underneath the truck on the ground or pavement for puddles of excess leaking or dripping fluids. First, is the truck leaning to one side? This is often an indicator of a broken or damaged suspension. Then, Inspect the tires to be sure that they're not flat or underinflated. Now, visually inspect all around the truck's dimensions. Are there any hazards or objects in the truck's path? Walk around to the exterior mixer drum rotation control and make sure that the control is in the neutral position. Move on to the air system petcocks and close each one of them. At the end of the previous shift, they were left open to drain any impurities out of the system, but now they must all be closed. At this point, read the post-trip vehicle inspection report from the previous shift in which the truck was driven. Are there any defects checked and itemized on the report? If there are any identified defects, make absolutely certain that they've been repaired before you operate the mixer truck. To begin this second step, ensure that the parking brake is applied or that the truck wheels are chocked. Safely and correctly either raise the hood or tip the cab on the cab-over engine models. Check the engine oil level. Is the power steering fluid level at the proper level? Is there an adequate amount of radiator coolant present? What is the condition of all of the hoses? Are there any cracks, bulges, or splits? Verify the tightness of the belts. There should be no more than 3/4 of an inch of play in any direction at the center. While here, look for cracks or excess wear in the power steering belt, alternator belt, and the air compressor belt. Ensure that all air lines and couplings are tight and that there's no sign of fatigue. Visually inspect all electrical wiring. You want to make very sure that there are no cracks, burn spots, or worn areas in the wiring. Now, move to and let's inspect the steering mechanism thoroughly. Are there any bent, loose, or broken parts in the tie rod, steering arm assembly, and the steering gearbox? Check these components now because in step 3 of the inspection, you'll be checking the play in the steering wheel. Verify that there are no missing nuts, bolts, cotter keys, or other parts. Is the power steering pump free of excess wear or damage? And are the hoses free of any leaks? While you've got the hood open, check the front brakes. Can you see any cracked or damaged drums, shoes, or pads, and is there any oil or grease on them? Absolutely make certain that the brake shoes are not missing, broken, or worn dangerously thin. Brake chambers must be securely mounted and should not be leaking, cracked, or dented. Pull the slack adjuster to check the adjustment of the brakes. If it moves more than about 1 inch, it probably needs adjustment. Verify that the angle of the push rod and the adjuster arm is just over 90 degrees when the brakes are released. In roadside checks of heavy trucks, the number one equipment problem identified and cited by police officers is poorly adjusted or damaged brakes. Be thorough to protect your safety and avoid brake system citations. Now, close and re-secure the hood or the cab to end this phase of the inspection.
When you start your engine in the morning, it's very important to not be distracted. Pay attention to all your gauges. Take the time to let the pressure build up regularly so you're making sure that everything is going well with the truck. It's very important to get started on the right foot. You only got one chance to get it done right, and so you want to let that pressure build naturally. Give that engine some time to warm up naturally.
Carefully use the 3 points of contact and properly climb up to and step inside the cab. Close the door completely. With a manual transmission, depress the clutch and place the transmission shifter in the neutral position. Automatic transmission should be put in park or neutral. Also, place the interior mixer drum control in neutral. This is very important in cold weather. Start the engine. Let it idle. Don't rev the engine. Listen for unusual noises and check the gauges. The oil pressure gauge should show increasing or normal pressure, and its warning light should go off. The electrical gauge should show that the alternator is charging, and its warning light should go off. Does the water temperature gauge begin to move from 0 and begin to increase gradually? If there's no gauge, then the temperature warning light should go off. If the vehicle has an oil temperature gauge, is it gradually rising to the normal operating range? Look at the air pressure gauge. Does it show steadily increasing pressure? The low air warning lights and buzzers should be on until the pressure passes at least 60 psi. The compressor itself should cut off at about 125 psi. After the air pressure builds, check the city horn and the air horn. Move next to the vehicle controls. The steering wheel should have about 10 degrees of play and only several inches of movement. More play in the wheel makes it much harder to steer the truck and indicates damage to the steering control system. Test the clutch pedal. The pedal should have 1 to 2 inches of free play before you feel the tension of the pressure plate separating from the clutch throwout bearing. If it is mushy or it does not return to its original position, check the throttle return spring. If the truck has an automatic transmission, with the parking brake on, run the transmission shift lever through the gears once to verify that it shifts smoothly. If the truck has an interaxle differential lock switch, test it. Does the windshield washer fluid work? And do the wipers function properly? In cold weather, check the heater and the defroster. In hot weather, check the air conditioner. Test the following light controls: headlights, high beam dimmer switch, turn signals, four-way hazard flashers, and any additional clearance or marker light switches. Check your backup alarm and video camera if equipped with one. Carefully inspect the mirrors and the windshield. Are they free of cracks, and are they clean? If necessary, clean and reposition the mirrors right now. Proper vehicle inspection and tax stickers should be current and in place. Do you have all of the following emergency equipment in the cab, and is it in good working condition? That equipment includes a properly charged and rated fire extinguisher, 3 red reflective warning triangles, flares and extra electrical fuses for older trucks that don't have circuit breakers. Is the seat belt securely mounted, adjustable, and does it latch correctly?
By now, 3 steps into the inspection process, you're probably getting an idea of how thorough you should be during the inspection. We're now going to move forward with the next 3 steps: light check, walk around, and signal light check. Your safety, the safety of the motoring public, and the safety of your customers depend on your vehicle inspection.
Turn off the engine and keep the key with you. Turn on the headlights and the 4-way hazard flashers. Now, open the door and climb down out of the cab using the 3 points of contact. Close the cab door and check to see that the headlights are on and both of the 4-way flashers are working. Push the high beam dimmer switch and check to see if both high beams work. Now, turn off the headlights and the 4-way hazard warning flashers. Then, turn on all parking, clearance, side marker, and identification lights. Turn on the right turn signal. With a complete check of all lights, it's time to move to the next step.
As I'm looking at all the items on the walkthrough portion of the pre-trip, it seems like there's a lot of items on there, and it could be a little bit overwhelming, and it seems like it might be a little time-consuming as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of things. If you look at the pre-trip inspection sheet here, and look at the walk-around inspection part, there are a lot of things here, but just use this as a roadmap. You can walk through each step one at a time. Before you know it, you'll be good to go. And the more familiar you get with this process and walking through the steps, the quicker it'll go.
The purpose of the walk-around inspection is to have you carefully assess the condition of components on all sides of the vehicle, beginning with the left front of the truck. While walking around the truck, clean all lights, reflectors, and glass. Is the driver's door glass clean? Do the door latch and the lock work properly? On the left front wheel, what is the condition of the studs and the lugs? There should be no missing, bent, or broken studs, clamps, and lugs. Is there any rust around the lug nuts? If so, this could indicate that those nuts are loose. Inspect the wheel hub oil level and look for leaks. Do you see any signs of excess tire tread wear or indications of misalignment? On the left front tire, make sure that it's properly inflated. Do you see any serious cuts, bulges, or excess tread wear? Steering tires must have a tread depth of at least 4/32 of an inch in the deepest groove. Also, while here, check the valve stem condition and make sure that the cap is on. Check the left front brake while here. Do you see any cracked or damaged drums, shoes, or pads? Is there any oil on them? Make sure that brake shoes are not broken or dangerously thin. Brake chambers must be securely mounted and not leaking, cracked, or dented. Pull the slack adjuster. If it moves more than 1 inch, your brakes need adjustment. Verify that the angle of the push rod and adjuster arm is over 90 degrees when the brake is released. Check the left front wheel suspension. You're looking for cracked, broken, or shifted leaf springs. What is the condition of the spring hangers, the shackles, and the U-bolts? Now, again, let's move to the front of the truck. Is there any damage to the front axle? If the vehicle has a front-mounted power takeoff unit, now this truck doesn't, but if it did, visually inspect the driveline and inspect the hydraulic hoses. Do you see any leaks, loose, or worn connections? Check the hydraulic oil tank for proper fluid levels and leaks. For trucks equipped with rear PTOs, check these lines from the right side of the truck. Now, perform an inspection of the windshield from outside the truck and clean the windshield if necessary. Test the windshield wiper arms for the proper spring tension. Look at the wiper blades to ensure that they are properly attached and that they're not damaged or excessively worn. Look at the parking, clearance, and identification lights. Are they clean? Are they all operating? And are they all of the proper color? That right front turn signal light should be operating and clean. Step around to the right front side of the truck. Inspect the wheel, tire, and the suspension here. If necessary, clean the right side window. For cab-over-engine models, make sure the cab safety locks are engaged. Check all components visible from the front right side. Is anything leaking from the rear of the engine? How about the transmission? Is the exhaust system secure? The exhaust system shouldn't be in contact with any wires, fuel, or air lines. Check the frame and the cross members for bends or cracks. Moving down to the right rear of the truck, inspect the condition of the wheels and the tires. All non-steering tires must have a tread depth of at least 2/32 of an inch in the deepest groove. Are the paired tires in good condition, not rubbing against each other, and nothing stuck between them? The spacer between the dual wheels should be centered, keeping the tires evenly spaced. Also, paired tires should be of equal height. Do not mix radial tires and bias ply tires. The tires must be the same type on the same axle. Visually check to ensure that the axle seal is not leaking. Walk to the concrete extension chutes. Are they properly secured and in good condition? Let's now inspect the rear suspension. Due to heavy loads of concrete and tough off-road conditions, these components take a beating. A variety of parts need to be checked very carefully. Do you see any cracks in the brackets or the mounting hardware? Look at the walking beam. Inspect the load cushions for distortion or damage. How about the leaf springs? Are there any breaks or shifting occurring? Is the axle leaking gear oil? Any defects in these areas may present serious vehicle handling problems, so inspect with care. Moving to the brakes, what is the condition of the brake drums, pads, or shoes? Be sure that none of the brake lines are worn due to rubbing. How about the condition of the lights and the reflectors? Side marker lights must be clean and operating. Side marker reflectors must be in place and clean. Inspect the lights and the reflectors at the rear of the mixer truck. Tail, clearance, and identification lights must be clean and operating. Rear reflectors must be in place and clean. The right rear turn signal should be operating properly. Ensure that the license plate is in place, that it's clean and secured. Mud flaps must be in place, undamaged, properly fastened, and not dragging the ground or rubbing tires. Now, focus on the fold-down chute. Is the chute lock functioning properly and is it secure? Disconnect the lock and make sure that the chute swings smoothly. Relock the chute and verify that the fold-down chute lock is undamaged and is indeed latched properly. Inspect the left side of the truck. Now let's check the wheels, the tires, and suspension just as you have previously done. Walk to the water tank. Is it securely mounted? Is the flap seal in good shape? Is there any damage or wear to the air and the water lines? Be sure that all drain valves are closed and that the sight gauge is in good operating condition. Go to the fuel tank, make sure that it's securely mounted, undamaged, and it is free of leaks. Now, if you have a CNG concrete mixer, these are additional pre-trip inspection steps. Visually inspect CNG fuel tanks to ensure that they're free of damage, leaks, or the presence of natural gas odor. Inspect the fuel box to ensure switches are in the proper position, valve caps are snug, and make sure the fuel box cover is securely latched. Check the CNG fuel filter located to the left of the driver's side steps. The fuel filter valve must be opened daily to drain any collected water or compressor oil, and then the valve must be retightened by hand. Now, while here, if your truck is a later model that is equipped with a diesel exhaust fluid tank, check its fill level and also for any leaks. The battery box must be firmly mounted with a secure cover on the vehicle. The batteries must be secured against movement. They definitely must not be cracking or leaking. Unless the battery is maintenance-free, check to see if the fluid is at the proper level and that the cell caps are in place and tightened. Battery connections should be tight and free of corrosion. First, using the 3 points of contact, get into the cab and close the door. Turn off any lights that you've left on. Now, ask a coworker to assist you. Step on the brake pedal and have that person verify that both brake lights are working. Turn on the left turn signal. Using the 3 points of contact, get out of the cab, close the door, and go to the front of the vehicle. Verify that the left turn signal light is clean and that it's operating properly. While outside, check and clean the left rear turn signal light as well.
By now, you're in the home stretch of finishing the vehicle pre-trip inspection. We now turn to step 7. Start the engine and check the brake system.
For this step, you need to use the 3-point system of contact and re-enter the cab. Put on your seat belt and close the door. Turn off any lights that are not needed for driving. Verify that all required vehicle papers and permits are in the cab and secure all loose articles against movement in the cab. Start the engine. Now, go through the brake check and be very thorough. First, allow the air pressure to build up to 100 to 125 psi, at which point the air compressor should turn off. Now, fully depress the brake pedal and hold it down. After the initial pressure drop, the pressure should not go down by more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Release the parking brake and fan the brake continuously, making sure that the low air warning device activates before the pressure drops below 60 psi. Continue fanning the brake to relieve the air pressure. At about 40 psi, the parking brake valve should pop back out. If the truck is equipped with an engine braking system, turn the switch on, then depress and release the accelerator. You should hear the engine brakes engage. Now, turn that switch back off. Okay, let's allow the air pressure to build again. Release the parking brake and drive forward at 3 to 5 miles per hour. Apply the brake pedal firmly. The vehicle should stop immediately. Is there any pulling to one side or any unusual brake pedal feel or delayed stopping action? With the mixer truck fully stopped, apply the parking brake only. Make sure that it holds the vehicle when you shift into low gear and then you gently pull against the brake at idle speed. The final pre-driving requirement is to review the last post-trip vehicle inspection report. If it notes any vehicle defects, then you must sign it before driving and acknowledge they've been repaired. This completes our 7-step inspection. Let's conclude by checking parts that specifically relate to the mixer unit. Now, while not part of the required DOT inspection, it is critical to make sure that the mixer is ready for delivery. Set the parking brake and leave the engine running. Take off your seat belt, open the door, use the 3 points of contact to get down from the cab, and close the door. Proceed to the rear of the truck and look around the mixer drum to make sure there's no interference with the movement of the drum and the rollers. Slowly put the mixer control into the charging position. Watch and listen. Do you hear any sound that would indicate that the drum, the rollers, or the roller bearings are damaged? If all sounds well, after the first revolution, increase the engine RPMs with the throttle control. Slow the drum speed, bring it to a stop, and then change the drum direction to discharge for 1 or 2 revolutions. If the system is working properly, then your drum controls are in sound operating condition. Put the drum back in a slow charge mode. Go back, use the 3 points of contact, Climb into the cab and make sure that the interior drum controls work properly. If the mixer truck is equipped with a trailing axle, allowing heavier concrete loads to comply with state laws, you must also inspect this axle as well. Set the parking brake, leave the engine running. Use the 3 points of contact, dismount from the cab, and make sure the pressure is at the minimum setting. This minimum pressure setting will keep you from raising the drive tires off the ground, leaving you with no parking brakes. Now, using the 3 points of contact, re-enter the cab, lower the axle to the ground, and make sure that the vehicle is stable. Get out of the cab, go to the rear of the truck, and thoroughly inspect the axle assembly. Are the hydraulic cylinder lines and other lines and connections free of leaks? Is the safety latch free of concrete buildup or anything else that would cause it to malfunction? Now, check the tires for uneven tread wear that may indicate improper axle tracking. On the dolly, make sure that the brake lights, turn signals, and the running lights are operational. Re-enter the cab and put the transmission in reverse. The trailing axle should lift up. During the movement, do you hear any unusual noises from the pivot pins and the bushings? Turn to the back of the truck and make sure that the safety latch is properly engaged. You have now completed the inspection for the rear discharge mixer truck. If you find any problems, report them, document them, and get the mechanic's or maintenance supervisor's approval before you put the mixer into service. Do not make that decision without approval. A copy of your pre-trip inspection should be kept in the cab of the truck and by the maintenance supervisor. If your mixer truck were to be involved in an accident or investigated for any reason, DOT inspectors or law enforcement officials may ask for it to verify the mechanical problems have been reported and corrected according to DOT guidelines.
Again, remember, as we mentioned in the beginning, due to the design of your rear discharge mixer truck, some of these steps may be in a different order or can be combined to reduce the number of times you get in and out of the cab. You've now completed the vehicle inspection of your rear discharge mixer truck. This inspection helps build a circle of safety around the mixer truck at the plant, on the highway, and at the delivery site. As a concrete delivery professional, take no shortcuts here. Be thorough, detailed, and safe during the vehicle inspection.
Special thanks to those producers who generously invited us to film at their plant. They are Ozinga Ready Mix Concrete, Mokina, Illinois, and Vulcan Materials Company, Birmingham, Alabama. Please do not log off. Your short quiz starts immediately after the credits. There are 6 questions on this quiz. After you answer all 6 questions, you will immediately receive your score. If you pass, you can print your certificate of completion. If you do not pass, you can retake the test.